Hey y'all, thank you for joining me for another video. It's on a Monday this week. My weekend was super busy, so I figured I'd get it done today. Thank y'all for joining me. Today I want to talk about the last of the milestones that I hit. Well, last of the first milestones that I hit. This past Thursday, on the 21st, was the 1 year anniversary of my divorce, that it was official. And on that day was kind of mixed feelings. I didn't even post anything on Facebook about it because I didn't know how I felt about it. And quite honestly, what I'm going to talk about in a minute, I'm I feel like my identity right now is being a domestic abuse survivor, trauma survivor, and I don't know if I want to identify as that. I'm not ashamed of it because it wasn't really my fault, but I don't want that to be my only identity. But I'll get to that in a few minutes. As far as explaining why I had mixed feelings on that day, because obviously the divorce needed to happen. It was unfortunate that it had to happen because I fought tooth and nail to try to keep the marriage together. But I was the only one fighting for the marriage. My ex was fighting against it. Not that he wanted the marriage to fail, because he didn't, because, excuse me, amongst other things, I was his meal ticket. But he wasn't trying because he quite frankly didn't think that he was the one that needed to change, because everything was all my fault. So in that aspect, it's a good anniversary because I was looking back how far I've come in just that 1 year from when the divorce was final till now. And I've come quite a long way even in that short period of time, much less a year and a half since March 10th when he was removed from my home. But it also, I was still mourning my marriage, and I've been told that it's normal to grieve, in this case, my marriage. In other cases with other people, their relationship, to grieve it as a loss, almost like a death, because it is. It was the death of my marriage that I fought so hard for 32 years. And I guess that's why it still hurts somewhat. That's why I was having all of these mixed feelings. On last Thursday, because on one hand, I was celebrating total freedom from my ex, where I didn't have to deal with him anymore. I had no obligation to him anymore. That total freedom where legally he was no longer my responsibility. and I was no longer his. But like I said, on the other hand, grieving a marriage that I so desperately wanted to succeed. I tried so hard. I did everything I could. And I have no regrets where that's concerned. I regret that I put the marriage above my kids to the point to where my kids suffered. Yes, marriage comes first, but as I've said before, not at the expense of the kids. And that's where it got, that's the part I regret, is that I let it, allowed it, allowed my kids to suffer horribly because I was fighting so hard to save the marriage. And so those feelings were also, I was dealing with that within that, um, you know, the anniversary of the divorce. And I'm still processing all of this. And I wanted to talk about that because it is a normal part of the process of grieving, having all of these mixed feelings within it that, on one hand, you're happy, you're completely rid of everything dealing with the abuser, but yet, on the same token, you really didn't want to end it. You wanted it to work out. And I desperately wanted to work out. I wanted my perfect little family, or even quasi perfect family with the five of us. Me, my three kids, and my husband. And it didn't work out like that. And though I've got my kids, and that matters more to me than anything, there's still a lot of things we've got to get through. There's still issues that need to be dealt with, but they're being dealt with, they're getting there. And that's what matters. Um, Now, on with talking about how it seems like my soul identity, or my identity, is wrapped around being an abuse survivor. Lately, I've been getting so tired of my ex coming up in conversations, and 2/3 of the time that he comes up, I don't even mean to bring him up, talking about something else, and it kind of starts a memory or something. And with the way my ADHD mind goes, one thing leads to another, this leads to that, this, and then next thing you know, I'm bringing up my ex. And I mean, I did it just the other day when I went to one of my many adopted daughters' children's birthday party. I was talking with her mother, and my ex was brought up very in a bypass sort of way, but he was brought up. And I'm so tired of dealing with him. I mean, I'm so tired of everything I talk about, or the majority of what I talk about, is dealing with him. And it's getting me kind of concerned that I'm identifying as a survivor. And don't get me wrong, I am proud of myself that I survived all of that. Not just the abuse of my ex, but the abuse of my father, and the abuse of a neighbor. And I'm proud that I survived all of that because it's only by the grace of God that I did. And that I didn't do a lot of things or I didn't do the things that a lot of people do when they're abuse survivors. And that's only by the grace of God. It's not because I'm anything special, because I'm not. And I'm just tired of even my day to day life, where I'm listening to a song, just a song, even one of my old school songs that I like, and it brings back a memory of me and him, some random memory. Not necessarily a bad memory, but a memory. And I'm really tired of that. And I want to move forward to where if a memory does come up, I'm like, yeah, and move on to the point to where a memory comes up, it's rare. I mean, it's just, I did have somewhat of a victory yesterday. My youngest and I went to go see my daughter in a neighboring town an hour away. And we were driving back, and of course, he doesn't listen to my music. I mainly listen to country, though I listen to pretty much anything, but country is just the main thing I listen to. So he's like, Mom, I can't listen to that. And I'm like, okay, fine. Take my phone, put on whatever. You know what I won't tolerate, because there's certain music that I just can't take. And so he started putting on some old school stuff like Metallica, um, um, and Leonard Skinner, and stuff like that. And it was a song that came on that brought back a memory of my ex. My ex would play this particular song when he was flexing, because he loved to flex as if he was all that in a bag of cookies. And this particular song he would especially play when he was flexing, or wanted me to think that he was flexing. And instead of getting all sad or bent up about it, I kind of chuckled. And I didn't realize I chuckled out loud. And my son was like, What? And I said, Oh, just this memory, this song. He used to play this when he would start flexing. And he goes, Yeah, I remember that. And it's and the fact that I chuckled at it, it's not a happy memory. It's kind of like, it's so stupid, it's funny. Um, that's kind of like what it was. And that's definitely a victory. Um, and today I was listening to my music while I was working. Y'all would laugh at me. I have my headset for the phone in one ear, and I have my earbud in the other. And I was listening to one of my playlists that I have, which is a hodgepodge of all kinds of music, including everything from Chicago, old school Chicago, to Disturbed, Kid Rock, you name it. And a song came on that he would play when he would particularly want me to think he was all depressed and suicidal and all of that. and I didn't get depressed over it. I actually even listened to the entire song because it's actually, y'all, it's an actual good song. And um the it was a song by Disturbed, and it's a cover song from an old Simon and Garfunkel song. And the lead singer, Disturbed, is actually quite talented. Um, Now, some of his music is out there and it's not, but I like this one. And I actually listened to the whole song and appreciated the song for what it was and not attached to memory with him. And that's what I want to keep on doing, is when a song comes up that a memory was attached to him, just kind of a fleeting memory, but enjoy the song for what it is. Just like when I went to go see Alabama last month, that was my bucket list. And I was prepared for the song Feels So Right to come on. I prepared myself because I knew that they were going to play that. And sure enough, they did. And I got mildly teary eyed because, of course, it is associated with us as a couple, or I associated it with us as a couple because of some memories. But it didn't ruin the whole thing. The rest of the concert, in my perspective. Got a little teary eyed and wiped my face, got through the rest of the song, even sang it. And the next song, I was, dancing and everything. It was awesome. And so I'm wanting to keep going that, and I get so concerned when, like this milestone with the anniversary of the divorce, like that's what people know me as. And I don't want to be known as that. I don't want to be known as a woman that is an abuse survivor or victim of domestic abuse. Because, y'all, I don't view myself as a victim. Because then I'm giving them power. I am a victim of abuse. But I'm not his victim. Nor am I my molester's victim or my rapist's victim. I am just a victim of abuse, but I'm a survivor. And that it may be hard to distinguish the two, but it helps me cope and it helps me get past it. And so I didn't even post anything on Facebook about being the anniversary of the divorce because I'm just so tired of that being all there is to me, and there isn't. There's so much more to me. I love deeply, especially kids. Give me a kid, 10 minutes, they're mine. They're in my heart. That's it. I'd go to the end of the earth for them. That was evident when I went to Colorado with my daughter, and her, it was her elementary school's best friends. Let me rephrase that. Her best friend since elementary school, grandparents that had passed away. And I and then with that, because a bunch of the kids all grew up together. My daughter, her best friend, and then a couple of other people. And all these kids now have kids of their own. And growing up, these kids call me mom. And now they're having their kids call me grandma. Y'all, that trip, you don't know how that was so glorious to hear Grandma Penny. I mean, it was amazing. And then Saturday, same thing. The friends, two of her kids had birthdays within a few days of each other, so they celebrated both the birthdays on the same day, Saturday. Again, Grandma Penny. And that's what I am. You know, you want to call me mom? I'm your mom. That's fine. I'll cook for you. You come over. I will I'll fix my last pack of meat for you. And that's how I've always been. That's what I am. Someone who's passionate about helping others. That's why I'm getting ready to start this foundation that helps struggling families, um, helping families that are in a position now that I once was many years ago, helping them learn from my experience, giving them the help that I wish I had. That's what Penny is. Um, Mostly, first and foremost, I am a Christian, unapologetically so. Um, I don't go preach on a street corner. That's not my calling. What I do is I love like Christ loved. I don't care what you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you have these gauges in your ears that are like this big. Um, I don't care if you have spiked hair, that's pink, purple, and green. I don't care. You're a person. You need love. I've got love to give. And that's only because of Christ. Um, that's who I am. That's what I want to be known for. Uh, I want people to see, when they look at me, they see Christ through me. Um, I don't want them to see that I don't want them, my main identity, as being an abuse survivor. I want being an abuse survivor incidental. Just another thing that shows the glory of God, what God can get you through. Because there were nights when I was enduring the abuse that what literally got me through was Christ. Because there were times that I literally thought that I was going to go mad. That the next step was being institutionalized, because there were times I felt this close to going stark raving mad. And I mean that in a literal sense, not just as a figure of speech. And there were other times that I came this close to snapping and totally losing it on him, which is what he wanted, because he was trying to get me to lose it so that way he could try to get me to go to jail, because in his eyes I was the one who deserved jail back in '07 when I called the police on him. But so it was his way of getting back at me. But there were twice that I can remember that I literally came this close to totally snapping and losing it on him. But it was Christ that kept me back and said, okay, that's it. Nope, back down. And I would immediately back down. Y'all, that's Christ. If you choose not to believe Christ, that's fine. That's your choice. But you will never convince me that it is anything but Christ that got me back down and to not lose it. Because I have a very long fuse. Others may have a fuse, let's say this long, figure of speech. Mine is this long, longer actually. But once I reach that end, that's it. I've lost all restraint, all control, and I will waylay on you, either physically or with my words, and then once I start, I'm not stopping until I'm completely done and get all of what I've been wanting to do out of my system. And God protected me, because trust me, if I'd have lost it with him, I would be the one in jail, because it would have gone way beyond a self-defense plea. And so that's what I want to be known as, the one who loves Christ and who loves others and who's a mom to everybody. Whether you have a mom or not, I'm your mom. That's me. That's how I've always been, ever since I was even a teenager. I loved kids, and I babysat. In fact, for a while, my only job was babysitting, because I was making so much money off of it. And that's what I want to be known as, the person who loves, the person who loves Christ and shows that love through others, or for others. So in the coming weeks, I don't know what these videos are going to start looking like. I'll still go over trauma and the different stages and how to get past it. I don't know if I'll be talking much about what I've gone through, because quite frankly, since December with my first video, the last 10 months, I've talked about a lot of what I went through. I don't know that I could talk about anything different than what I have already talked about. But, and that's, I guess, what I want to encourage others who have gone through abuse, that's not your identity. Yeah, that's a part of your past, and that is a part of who you are. That's part of what made you who you are now. But it's not what totally defines you. But you guys have a good night and a good week. Stay blessed, and y'all stay safe out there. Bye.